Greetings and welcome to this new video, faithful. A significant place is held, however frequently overlooked, among the list of intriguing and well-known Marian apparitions by those associated with the charming mountain town of San Sebastián de Garabandal, or simply Garabandal, in northern Spain. The Blessed Virgin appeared to 4 local girls in the 1960s, which led to Garabandal's rise to fame. Our Lady's words in this instance, as they were in Fatima, were ones of love, hope, and an appeal for conversion. There were also some messages pertaining to the end of the world. In order to prevent needless conjecture, I would like to make it clear that this is not a reference to the end of the world, but rather to the end of the end times. This idea is frequently misunderstood and misconstrued, which results in a never-ending stream of unfavorable messages that are mostly unrelated to the true Marian content. Going back to Garabandal, among the prophecies that have drawn the greatest interest is the one about the prophecy of the 3 popes, which would perfectly mark the beginning of the end times during the pontificate of Pope Francis Bergoglio. The Mother of God and the Church, the Virgin Mary, has made appearances throughout history, bringing with her messages of love, hope, and conversion to different corners of the globe. These Marian apparitions are physical manifestations of God's love for people, calling us to prayer and repentance. From Medjugorje to Guadalupe, from Fatima to Lourdes, the Virgin Mary has proved herself to be a lighthouse in the dark, providing millions of people with solace and direction. In addition to being miraculous occurrences, these celestial manifestations serve as a prompt to consider our connection with God, our religion, and our place as Christians in the world. With her soft and sympathetic character, the Madonna calls us to live a life of prayer and selflessness, to witness the gospel, and to convert our hearts. 4 little children, Conchita, Mari Cruz, Jacinta, and Mari Loli, were selected by the Lord to see a supernatural event in Garabandal in 1961. The Archangel Michael, a brilliant angel, appeared to them as they were performing and announced the impending presence of the Madonna. A few days later, the beginning of a string of apparitions that would rock the Christian world was marked by the appearance of the Virgin Mary in all her beauty and radiant grace. The girls' faces shone with a radiance and serenity that only individuals in divine presence could possess during these apparitions, as they were in a state of divine ecstasy. When the Madonna spoke to them, she gave important lessons for everyone on earth, not only Garabandal. A thorough medical investigation revealed no injuries to the little girls' knees, which was the most astonishing of many things that happened when they spotted the Madonna and instantly knelt, despite the discomfort of their knees striking the rough stones. In a second, their features changed as they became fully engrossed in heavenly joy. They underwent a variety of tests during this ecstasy, and they had no reactions to punches, burns, or pinches. Despite being exposed to intensely bright lights that would typically cause irreversible eye damage, they did not appear uncomfortable or display any signs of discomfort when their trance was broken. Instead, they maintained their wide-open expression of tremendous ecstasy. The girls experienced varying lengths of euphoria, frequently in awkward poses with their heads thrown back and their gaze directed upwards while kneeling on uneven and stony terrain. A number of distinguished physicians investigated the incidents and watched the girls during the apparitions. Following extensive investigation, a pediatrician verified that the girls consistently exhibited perfect normalcy and that their ecstasies had nothing to do with any recognized psychological or physiological occurrence. Renowned neuropsychiatrist Dr. Ricardo Puncer of Barcelona said that it is challenging for a physician to offer a totally natural explanation when faced with such phenomena. Many people were dubious during the Virgin Mary apparitions in Garabandal. The 4 girls called for a miracle in order to provide a sign for skeptics. Although St. Michael had brought communion to the girls before, the host had never been visible. On June 22, 1962, St. Michael told Conchita that he would administer communion visibly. Conchita received a revelation from the Virgin Mary indicating that the visible host's minor miracle will occur on July 18th. The rumor spread despite the parish priest's limitations, and a large number of pilgrims arrived in Garabandal on that particular day. A white host miraculously materialized on Conchita's tongue in front of the audience. This incident was also documented on camera. Pepe Diaz, a witness, recounted the incident, highlighting the host's sudden presence without Conchita having to move. The girls received a message from the Virgin Mary on July 4, 1961. It was made public on October 18th. The message asked for penance, frequent visits to the Blessed Sacrament, and living a moral life because if they didn't, humanity would suffer a great punishment. On June 18, 1965, the Archangel Michael disclosed a second communication on behalf of the Virgin. This message stressed that the Eucharist was being ignored and that many religious leaders were bringing souls to damnation. It also bemoaned the inability to disseminate the first warning. The Virgin Mary urged prayer, sacrifice, and repentance while bringing Jesus' love and suffering to mind. The punishment that is foretold will be a dreadful direct intervention from God. For innocent youngsters, this punishment will be more agonizing than a natural death. Catholics should confess before being punished, and others should turn from their sins. Conchita was so terrified even though she saw the Virgin Mary and the chastisement. Conchita is quoted by Francisco Sanchez Ventura y Pascual in his book as stating that the severity of the punishment will depend on how humanity responds to the heavenly instructions. If it happens, it will be harsh. In a 2006 interview, Marie Cruz underlined that the Virgin was warning, just like a loving mother would, rather than posing a threat. According to Conchita, the Blessed Virgin Mary informed her that Jesus is sending the penalty to help us and correct us for disobeying him rather than to upset us. Conchita had a message from the Virgin Mary in 1963 that confirmed Malachi's prophecy. This prophecy, as many of you may know, is about the lineage of popes inside the Catholic Church. Conchita received a revelation from the Virgin Mary on the prophecy of the three popes, which stated that there would only be 3 pontificates before the end of time following Pope John XXIII. According to a conversation that Conchita had with her mother, she said exactly this: "Now there are only 3 popes left." Conchita answered her mother's question about how she knew this by saying, "The Virgin Mary told me." Conchita explained that the Virgin Mary was speaking about the end times, not the end of the world, when asked if this signified the end of the world. After the popes that followed were Paul VI, John Paul I, John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. In light of his extremely short pontificate, Pope Francis emerges as the 3rd pope following the prophecy if we leave out Pope John Paul I. Many have been left wondering if Pope Francis is the end-time pope predicted in the prophecy. And what does the end of the world actually mean? It is important to distinguish between the end of the world and the end times. It can indicate a time of great upheaval in the Church or the wider world, a fresh wave of evangelization, or a deepening of spiritual reform. The question is still open at the diocesan and Vatican levels because the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith has never made formal remarks about the events of Garabandal. Greetings, brothers and sisters. We do not know with certainty whether the events of Garabandal had a heavenly genesis. We are awaiting the Church's official stance. Although there are many indications that something unusual might have happened, only the Church is able to determine whether or not such events are real. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel in order to receive updates on new videos and to become a part of our prayer and faith-based community. God bless you. I appreciate you listening, and I hope your journey of faith is blessed.